the conference is entitled Global Anti-Semitism, A Crisis of Modernity, Revisited. And the revisited part is because 10 years ago, we had a conference at Yale University, which was a great success. We had 105 speakers over 4 days dealing with issues of global anti-Semitism and the crisis of modernity. And I remember in that event, I was sitting next to my parents. My parents came to New Haven from Montreal to come to the conference. And my mother turned to me and she said, you know, this conference is amazing. This professor is here and that professor is here. All the who's who of issues of anti-Semitism, literally from around the world. David Patterson, there were many of us were there 11 years ago. And she said, this is amazing. Yale's going to keep you here and you'll get tenure here and you'll have your career here. And I turned to my mother and I said, Mom, this is the beginning of the end of our project. And why? Because we got too big too soon. And in the conference, which was open to the public, there were students and faculty that we now know were definitely connected to the Muslim Brotherhood. And they were in attendance, and they were blogging in real time. The day after the conference, the PLO ambassador said that this was a racist, Zionist, fascist enterprise, and it started the beginning of the end. But it also started some other interesting projects by mistake, looking at the influence of foreign powers on education in the United States and globally, and looking at the impact of anti-Semitic foundations and movements working with soft power in universities.
Minority communities seem to have prospered and received greater attention and greater access by the various movements of the time, social justice movement, critical race theory. But there's a real detrimental effect on the way that Jewish communities and Judaism are being viewed. And Charles has already talked about this, but I think it's so important that it has to be emphasized again and again. Despite discovering the Holocaust and the loss of more of half its community, there's now a tendency to align Jews with the centers of power rather than the periphery of power, which is very interesting considering that, of course, just 20 years ago, Judaism or Jewish communities hardly featured in the mainstream of any cultural mainstream of any society. So at the Woolf, we've been conducting research on anti-Semitism from historical, theological, and social science perspectives for almost 25 years now. From the very beginning, we've had visiting fellows who engaged with anti-Semitism, and it was therefore such a great pleasure to welcome ISGAP here, Charles and Chloe and Lev, to have them work here with us. And we've learned a lot from our engagement with them and also from the events that we organized together.
I have to say, practically every week, if not every day, there are some statement which deserves to be mentioned. And no doubt that in the last 3 days, the prize for the most outstanding statement belongs to Milun Kotari, who is a member of the United Nations Human Rights Committee's commission to investigate the root causes of the violence in the Middle East. So, well, it was criticized, his words, by a number of countries in these days. But I want to mention that I think it's really wonderful, not wonderful, but it's great that he said it, because it reminds us one thing. Look, in 2 phrases, he succeeded to put together the statement that social media is in the hands of Jews. What we just now heard about anti-Semitism, Twitter and others, it's very interesting. But he said it very clearly that Jews control the social media. And practically in the same paragraph, he said that he doesn't understand how, with all violations of human rights, Israel is a member of United Nations. From 193 countries, not China, who is keeping millions of Uyghurs in concentration camp, in fact, not Cambodia, who simply halved its population, not Syria, which used chemical weapons against its own citizens and turned third of the country into the refugees. But Israel, how it can be that Israel is a member of the United Nations?
This shouldn't stop us from working to promote peace, to bring people in the region, regardless of their nationality, their religion, their ethnic, their color, bring them together, promote the common values that we have as human beings, and try to build bridges of trust, respect, and understanding and acceptance within the whole region. And this is where I see that we need to work together to promote the Abraham Accord, to show the people the added value of the Abraham Accord that we are enjoying it now in the U.A.E, in Bahrain, in Israel. Now I see in Jordan, even because of the issue, the trilateral agreement related to water and electricity between Israel, Jordan, and the U.A.E. Also in Egypt, we see changes. In Morocco, there is a great achievement, and this is where, because of the Abraham Accord, before, this year, we had so many events talking about the Holocaust. And it was the first time that there was an event in Egypt, in Cairo, talking about the Holocaust. There was an event in Jordan, several events in Morocco, in Bahrain, more than 10 events in the U.A.E. Before the Abraham Accord, we didn't see that. So I think let's keep the momentum, keep the engagement, try, to create a value and share it and work on a base of partnership